What's good, Knicks Nation? The streets are buzzing. Welcome in as we chop up tonight as the New York Knicks add more depth. Training camp invites getting finalized. We'll take you through the latest coming through tonight. And the Knicks sign a young wing, Tosan A, formerly of the Brooklyn Nets, out of Princeton, right? Looks like he's going to take a two-way spot and one of the favourites to get a two-way according to Ian Begley. So we'll go through that. We'll preview training camp. We'll go through the chat Q&A tonight. Let's get through it. Salute to the squad. Hope everyone's doing well. Right, we've got some news coming through, man. Things are picking up real quick as the New York Knicks aren't messing around, finalising camp invites, two-way spots, and we still have an opportunity to make a deal, right, to free up some cap space. We expect that to happen as well. Salute to Coach in the building, and I will take you through the latest right now, man. Tosan A, he's a 6'8 wing. He went undrafted in the 2023 draft, right? He's out of England, actually. He's British, but had a nice little stint with the Brooklyn Nets last season, and the Knicks like what they saw. Averaged 9.5 points, over 4 rebounds in 28 games for the Brooklyn Nets. We'll take a look at some highlights as well. And Ian Begley's reporting that he feels like he's a prime candidate, right, to get a two-way spot along with Kevin McCullar, who is also on a two-way spot. So it does look like the Knicks have 2 spots available. It's Tosan A going to get one of them? It does look like it, man. And what does that mean for James Nagy? Dink Pate, reports had come out earlier in the summer that he's going to get a two-way. So we have a poll in the chat. Who do you think should get the final two-way spot? Assuming it's going to be Dink Pate and McCullar, right? Is it going to be Tosan A? Is it going to be James Nagy? Maybe even the other guy, Anton Watson. Doesn't look like Beauchamp is eligible, right? But we do have confirmation that Kevin McCullar is currently on a two-way. And it looks like Mohamed Diawara is going to land a regular roster spot as the New York Knicks are finalizing camp invites, right? Reports Ian Begley right now, Alex Len has been impressive in workouts along with Thomas Bryant. Trey Jemison III has been impressing in workouts as well. So it looks like these guys are going to be coming into camp along with Garrison Matthews. Hey, but it don't stop there. Dennis Smith Jr., the former New York Knick, man, outlasting Tom Thibodeau at this current juncture. Looks like he's going to be coming into camp as well. Played last season in Spain for Real Madrid. Dennis Smith Jr.'s coming in. Does look like the Knicks do want some ball handling. And what does this mean for Pacome Dardier? What does this mean possibly for Tyler Kolek? You know, it don't look great. It don't look great right now in terms of their Knicks' future up in the air, with the Knicks stacking up all these vets, right? But it's win now mode as we mean business in the building. Salute to Queen's Place, Nick P, Yuri Ark, Johnny's in the building. Ernest, what's up? Everyone, hope everyone's doing well. So yeah, the news coming out is that Tosan A, coming in at a 7'1" wingspan. You know, he had some flashes during Princeton. He was Ivy League first team. Ended up going undrafted in 2023. Picked up a couple of two-ways with the Memphis Grizzlies, the Detroit Pistons, and the Brooklyn Nets last season. The Nets waived Tosan A, and the New York Knicks have picked him up. They like what they see. He's got size, 6'7" wingspan, and about 6'8" barefoot as well. We'll take you through some highlights. But J-Dub says Dink Pate is definitely going to get the two-way. Yeah, we had a report already come out, but that doesn't seem to be finalized right now. So, look, anything is up in the air still, but I would anticipate that Dink Pate is going to get a two-way. As y'all see in the graphics, it could be 3 or 4 or 5 guys, compete for the final two-way guys. McCullar is currently there. He's got a two-way. I don't see that changing, man. unless the Knicks just feel like they can, bring in someone else. But it does look like Dink, Pate, McCullar. But Tosan A, according to Ian Begley right now, is a prime candidate to get that spot, in the words of Ian Begley, right? I'll take you through some highlights right now of what he done with the Brooklyn Nets, right, last season. Here's a little flash of what we can see now. It looks like he does need to work on his three-point shot, but put Keon Ellis, man, in the spin cycle. And don't forget, this was up against Mike Brown's Sacramento Kings. So it does look like maybe this could be a Mike Brown thing. I've always been saying all summer that, you wanna give the new coach some input in terms of who they like, who they want to bring in, man. But looks like he's got some good handles. Nice finish there with the left, and is adept at driving and slashing, and got a solid handles. Average about 10 points, 4.5 rebounds in 28 games, man, for the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah, put Keon Ellis in the weight room in that one. Really looks like he's got strength, and he's using his size there to his advantage. Like I said, Ivy League first team. At some point he was, projected to go in the second round, 2023, but went undrafted right now. What's up, Julian? John in the building. Jason, what's good? Competition is fierce. Absolutely, man. I'm loving what I'm seeing right now. I mean, in regards to Dennis Smith Jr., fam, let's touch on that as well. So Dennis Smith Jr. was, a former teammate of Gershon Yabusele with Real Madrid as well. We obviously know Dennis Smith Jr. really well. So look, I'm pleased to see him get an opportunity in camp. As John said, I wouldn't sign Alex Len or Matt Ryan. Peyton McCullar should be on the two-way deals. Yeah, I feel like Dink Pate showed me enough in terms of Summer League, fam. I'm definitely love to see him on the two-way. Looks like Diawara is going to get a regular spot, because don't forget, on the second round exception, it's going to be a cheaper deal, right? So what this means for Pacome Dardier, Tyler Kolek, look, the fact that they're flirting with all these veterans, I would basically bet my last chip in Vegas. I would bet that either one of McCullar or one of Dardier or Kolek gets traded, mate. Possibly both, but I would definitely bet that at least one of them gets traded, man. If you're connecting the dots out here. Keep the buzz coming in the chat, man. Knicks family in here heavy. Jason with the super chat. Big up to Jason, says, we can still compete for a chip and keep Pacome. Our core is good enough to win. Let's keep the young wing around, learning from Mikal and OG from Wingstop. Yeah, Jason, I agree. I think Pacome, we haven't really seen what he's capable of doing yet. And, we've got the French connection going heavy with Diawara, his buddy. We got, obviously, Gershon Yabusele. And, look, Pacome Dardier would have value around the league, though. So that's something to look out for. If the Knicks are looking to shed salary, if there's a deal where one of our young guys can get back the most value, I could understand why the front office is really entertaining these moves. But Tyler Kolek, is the prime candidate, I think, to get moved. The Knicks are loading up with ball handlers. The fact that Dennis Smith Jr. is coming in, I kind of like what I really want to see what he's capable of right now as a 28-year-old, crafting his game overseas in Spain. Yeah, we can't forget Dennis Smith Jr., man. He ain't that old, 28. Don't forget Dante Exum come back from Spain. Yabusele come back from Spain, and they looked like the more refined product. So give us your thoughts on Dennis Smith Jr. Do you feel like he could get a spot? We're obviously going to see in camp as these guys battle it out, but career high, Tosan Evbuomwan scored 22 points last season with the Brooklyn Nets. So look, he looks like a real two-way guy with a real prospect, with upside. In terms of, I would definitely look at him ahead of, James Nagy. I would look at him ahead of Anton Watson. I mean, he's got NBA experience now, played 28 games last season, and obviously had some flashes, man. Here it is, putting Keon Ellis in the weight room once again, fam. Now, in terms of Alex Len, Thomas Bryant, these guys out here that have had NBA experience, what does that mean for the big men spot, right? Do they see Yabusele as more of a power forward? We are a little light at the big man. Shout out to those in the comment section from last stream. Some of y'all suggested that we do need to add maybe another big. I like Ariel Hukporty's upside, but he is a little unproven still at this stage. If they see Yabusele as a 4, then I can understand why they're looking at Trey Jemison, who's gritty, man. He is physical. He could be that enforcer guy. He did get into a couple of altercations last season, did Trey Jemison, man. He's built like an NFL footballer right now. We know Thomas Bryant loves to get gritty. He likes to mix it up. And obviously Alex Len, man, the Ukraine player, he loves to get active as well. So I kind of see what the Knicks are doing right now. They're trying to look for these physical big men, maybe to counteract some of the finesse that Cat and co brings to the squad, fam. Johnny says, CT, of all the signings Knicks have done this past week, which ones become tradable assets? That's a good way to look at it too, fam. I would think maybe a Garrison Matthews has some currency around the league. If he made the squad and, the rest of the league knows that he can shoot it. I think Thomas Bryant could be a veteran throw-in a trade at some point. Those are the two guys I think with most kind of stability. They haven't bounced around as much as Alex Len, Trey Jemison and co. Building Block says DSJ really improved his on-ball D. I always liked him. Yeah, from what I've heard, Dennis Smith Jr. has definitely, become a lot more mature in terms of defensively. The stroke has got more consistent as well. Look, Real Madrid, they're one of the giants in the Spanish league. So it ain't like he's on a bad team. So he's still got some value out here. Another super chat through from Jason B. Salute. Got the streets buzzing. Says, I also want to keep Najee around. He's 6'11", athletic, with long arms. Mitch's situation is tricky. And Huck has had minor injuries as well. Najee has the tools, 3, to work with. Yeah, I got a feeling Najee, Jason, will stick around in Westchester as well. And that ties into a great point that I was going to make about, why we're stacking all these camp invites. Don't forget, some of them are going to get that Exhibit 9 or Exhibit 10 bread, which is around about 50, 60K. And then that's going to allow them to stick around in Westchester, maybe until the trade deadline. And then, if we like what we see, those guys can hop back on the train, possibly if there's another move coming down. But yeah, basically, in regards to Dennis Smith Jr. as well, I won't be surprised if we're his avenue back into the league, and we're kind of like, hey, DSJ, we like what we see. You're only 28. You've got pro experience, for so many years now. We could be like, look, take the Exhibit 10 training camp. If it doesn't work out, go back to Westchester, man. And you could be a box office ticket at Westchester, and then maybe you can come back on the squad later. Now, I just wanted to touch on what Ian said earlier, right? Let me pull it up. So yeah, Ian's given us some reveal in terms of what's going on in these workouts, which is great insight for Ian. Once again, shout out to Ian Begley. He says veteran sharpshooter Matt Ryan is on the Knicks' radar for the camp deal, per sources. Ryan was also with the Knicks last year. Yep. Dennis Smith Jr. played well in informal scrimmages today with other Knicks club finalizing these camp invites. Also, Alex Len, the big man, played well in the workout today as well. Trey Jemison III remains on the club's radar. as well. So all is going well, man. These guys are going heavy in the workouts, and the Knicks are not playing around, man. They are trying to stack this squad as far as they possibly can, man. Insurance policy on insurance policy, so that we can go heavy in back-to-backs and maybe try to win the number 1 seed. Right? Don't forget, that's going to help out for the NBA Finals, man. If you can get the best record in the NBA, you'll get home court in the finals too. So the Knicks are going hell for leather right now, right? As the chat is buzzing. Next comment, Yuri Ark, salute for the super chat. Appreciate you, my guy. Says, if things go well for the Knicks camp, we can easily have a 9-man rotation, possible 10, sometimes 11. Mike Brown has no problem going deep. Pause. I feel you on that. And I feel like some of these guys could be Mike Brown guys, like we see here. Tosan A, today's latest signing, a 6'8" wing, putting some of these Sacramento Kings, man, in the weight room right now. And kind of reminds me a little bit of D'Lo Russell with that move, man. A little bit taller, a bit bigger, obviously. But that's a kind of D'Lo Russell move, but using his size to get to the basket. So, yeah, man, I'm intrigued with these two-way decisions, first and foremost. So it does look like Diawara has landed a regular roster deal, right? And if he doesn't, he'll definitely get a two-way, which would then bump out, Evbuomwan, because Dink, Pate, McCullar are there. And look, Evbuomwan and Najee could always just be Westchester guys for a season if Diawara has to go back onto a two-way. But if Diawara doesn't land a regular roster spot, that means two of these other rookies need to get traded because we don't have the salary cap space to fill it with veterans only. That's why Diawara is so valuable right now as well, because his salary number is, a lot lower than what some of these vets are going to be. Yeah. But yeah, like what Johnny asked, I do think Thomas Bryant, I was impressed with him in the playoffs. I do think you really need to take that into consideration, man. As I appreciate you, Jay, in the building. Great to see you. Wealth Solution says Kolek is history. Dardier is going nowhere. Yeah, I like those vibes. Yeah, Matt Ryan, question mark. Matt Ryan's going to be here for a camp invite, fam. I think we're doing him a solid. I think he'll be the number 1 ticket in Westchester, fam. Westchester native is Matt Ryan. So look, I don't think Matt Ryan's going to be around for too long. He'll be on the camp invite. But yeah, we're basically trying to fill all the spots because NBA allows you to bring in 21 guys into camp. And it's going to be ferocious, man. It's going to be hellacious, in the words of Clyde. 21, guys going at it. Would love to be a fly on the wall, man, during training camp. Hopefully we get some great training camp footage, man. New York Knicks out here, media team, please get us some great, training camp footage out here. We used to get it back in the day with Phil Jackson, and Dennis Smith was going at it alongside Kristaps. I think that was kind of the last years that we got training camp footage. But would love to see what else happens throughout the rest of this summer, fam, in terms of the next trade. I think that's going to drop any day. It does look like Tyler Kolek, man. Let's touch on Tyler Kolek, man, because it would be a brief Knicks career if, he's the next to get shipped out. But I can understand from his perspective, the Knicks always like to do these players a solid, just like we did with Obi, and try to find him a situation that's going to work for him as well as, us. Just where we're going right now, we're not that kind of team that can afford, minutes for him to continue to get better in the league and develop right now. He was kind of drafted as a guy that should come in right away. But Tom Thibodeau, we know, was a major fan of that pickup. As I touched on last stream, some other reports have come out. But Tyler Kolek was a Tibbs draft pick. Basically, Tibbs ain't here no more, so it does look like the writing is on the wall for Tyler Kolek. So, look, I'm fully anticipating him to get traded. Dardier is kind of maybe a 70-30 that he stays. But but I wouldn't rule out him getting traded either. Once again, it's just one of those situations where we would love to give him a lot of minutes, but I can't. I don't know what Mike Brown's thinking right now. We do have Diawara, we have Dink Pate, we have McCullar. We've obviously got Wingstop. We've got Josh Hart still. Malcolm Brogdon, 6'5", so he could guard up as well, fam. And also we're bringing in this guy, today's latest signing, the product out of Britain, Tosan A. Yuri says, but Tibbs' stubbornness wouldn't let him play the bench. Yeah, I think Tibbs was just coaching for his next win. That was how it was, fam, as well. I don't know if he expected to get as far as possible, but he definitely played all the guys as many minutes as they possibly could. Jason says, Huck Porty will make the 10. Mitch start at the 4 for about 20 to 25 minutes a game. Huck Porty can play with Yabu. He still provides D and rebounding on the bench, and he can score too. Yeah, look, I think the organization loves Huck Porty. He's not going nowhere. He's on a really friendly deal, and he's got upside. And definitely he's there in case of an injury as well. I do think Yabu's going to play a lot more of the 4 right now. Maybe a little bit of small ball 5, but our defense would suffer. I love Yabu, but I just don't think he's that kind of guy to protect the paint right now. Obviously, his Eurobasket was cut from the tournament with France, and he's going to be over in New York City any day now, with training camp set to begin, man, on September 26th, right after Media Day, fam. And the New York Knicks are going to get their training camp started early because October 2nd, we're all the way over in Abu Dhabi, set to play 2 preseason games on October 2nd and the 4th. So we're getting training camp started early. Media Day will be September 26th, and training camp the day after that on September 27. So the Knicks will get about a good week of training camp before they head over to Abu Dhabi, fam, to play some of these preseason games right now. Salute to Shay and Creative in the building. David says, true, but our bench last year is our end of the bench. Yep, true, but our bench last year is our end of the bench this year. Definitely upgraded heavy. I give the offseason an A so far. Let's not assume that Landry Shamet is going to get the full spot either. He's on a non-guaranteed deal. So he's going to be one of the guys to really battle it out with Garrison Matthews alongside Malcolm Brogdon, who I think is all but guaranteed to stay. Right, he's on a non-guaranteed deal, but I can't see Malcolm Brogdon getting cut, man, unless he gets injured, which we all know is possible. But I do think Malcolm Brogdon's going to stay. But I do think Landry Shamet's spot ain't guaranteed. So he's going to compete with Garrison Matthews. It does seem like they do want to give Dennis Smith Jr. a fair shake as well. Yuri says, do we know why a trade is going to happen? It's basically to free up a couple of the spots so that we can fit some veterans under the second apron, fam. So the Knicks are hard capped at the second apron now, so they can't go over. So their aim is to fill the spot, up to 15 and, have as much depth as possible, and give this a huge run, fam, with the NBA Finals or bust right now with that situation. And look, we also are, I think, trying to solidify a backup plan in terms of Westchester, fam. So let's say guys like Alex Len, Trey Jemison, Garrison Matthews, and that don't make the squad. They might be left out of the league, with expansion yet to happen. A lot of these vets are left without a home. And so we could keep these guys going, keep them active in Westchester, just like we did with PJ, with TJ Warren and Chuma Akeke last season. I do think that with this new development guy coming in, shout out to Billy Lang and that hire, I do think the Knicks are definitely going to continue to use Westchester as a heavy vehicle to to keep the talent active and to also keep them in house as well. That's what the G League should be all about, in my opinion, fam. Keep these guys going, keep them developing, and I expect today's signing Tosan A, to be on a two-way, or if not, he's going to be with the G League mostly, and he's going to be getting that, getting that happening right now. I love to see Dardier stick around because I do think, yeah, like you guys are saying, he can learn a lot from, the wings of today. OG, McCall, right? They are in their prime right now, but they are teetering on the 29, 30 kind of range. So we do need to, look out for the future as well. And I do think Pacome Dardier, is still on a rookie deal that could be at a cheap number for the next 3 seasons, right? I think the Knicks can't be too short-sighted. I'm a little bit worried about, are the Knicks going to be a little bit too short-sighted with maybe a Deuce or a Dardier move? And I hope that does not happen. Kolek, I could understand. Chris Salute says, I thought we had 3 two-ways. So we got McCullar already on one of them, fam. So yeah, we do have 3, but one of them is already filled right now. So Kevin McCullar is going to come back on the two-way. So we've basically got 3 to 4 guys competing for the last 2 spots, right? Dink Pate hasn't formally got that deal yet. I'm sure they're going to finalize all of this after camp, right? There was a report that Dink Pate is going to get a two-way, but from my read right now, the Knicks aren't guaranteeing anyone no one right now. They're not guaranteeing nothing. They're saying you come into camp with your lunch pail and you better get to work because there's somebody else competing for your spot right now. This ain't the days where we were the 8th seed with Phil Jackson or, in the lottery right now. We're favorites to win the East. And so there should be no spots just handed out. Everybody has to earn their keep, right? If you want that bread, then win the spot. Trade the third blessing. Salute. Great to see you. Creative Loose says Dardier is very important for the team for upside, backup wing, and for the future. 100% agree. And some of us are old enough to remember, man, like Trevor Ariza. Some of us are old enough to remember some of the players that we moved on from. Even Obi, if you're a younger cat, you'll understand that sometimes the Knicks just ran out of patience with a guy. But unfortunately, the Knicks have given up on some talent too early. And the fact that Pacome's only 19, I would hate for us to send him out just to fit a veteran minimum guy for 1 or 2 seasons, right? I do think that, worst case scenario, he can play right now for 10, 15 minutes and give you solid defense. Yeah, the shot probably needs to become more consistent, and we'll see how that shakes out. Look, with Tyler Kolek, look, time is not on his side, so I get it, Time ain't a friend of Tyler Kolek because he's 24, he's 25, and he deserves to be playing right now, man. I would send him to Charlotte, Chicago, even if he wants to be the backup for Phoenix. A lot of teams could do with a backup point guard that aren't championship or bust, like we currently are in this situation. And look no further than the Dennis Smith Jr. news coming out right now. Apparently he's given the business in these open workouts right now. He's probably given the business to some of these other guys. So the Knicks want to see if they could maybe fit him in one of these vet spots right now. Some of y'all were a little bit apprehensive about Malcolm Brogdon, and I get it. When is the last time that guy stayed healthy? So if we are going to sign Brogdon, maybe we also look at replacing Kolek with Dennis Smith Jr. or someone else who's more experienced. But don't sleep on my guy Garrison Matthews as well, man. That guy was the number 1 corner percentage in the league last season at 58%, man. That's crazy right now. Like I said, Landry Shamet, he's competing against Matthews right now. My guy Glenn, great to see you. Trading our young guys to put injury-prone older dudes is not good. Everyone we trade comes back to haunt us. Salute, my brother. Yeah, let's hope that's not the case. But I get what they're trying to do. They may be trying to recycle some of the older new guys like Dardier and Kolek, because they've got some new young guys coming through in the way of Diawara, Dink Pate, Tosan, today signing Kevin McCullar as well. So look, when you're a win now team, you can only have so much space for young guys. So it's a fine balance. And look, I wouldn't want to be the one to make these tough calls. That's why these guys get paid the big bucks. And you and I here just chopping it up and waiting to see what happens. Fam. Yeah, as Chris says, it would be funny if Garrison Matthews gets a spot. I don't think it's going to be funny at all. I think he's a real chance to make that spot. Now, if I'm going to make a bet, I would say that Landry's probably the favorite because Landry can D. I'm not quite sure about Garrison Matthews D. But I think if we're just going off last season, Garrison Matthews' 3-point stroke is more consistent. And we know Landry had the shoulder injury as well, and he's going to be working his way back. He's had a fully healthy preseason and summer, so far. So big things ahead for Landry, but let's see what happens. Garrison Matthews could be that guy that they keep in Westchester until February, but I'm sure he's probably going to get snapped up by someone. Michael Drizzy Drake says Knicks ain't playing. Time to get a NBA chip. Yeah, we mean business this season, man. When is the last time you seen the Knicks move like this, man? Signing 21 players to a training camp invite. But the guys from 15 to 21, man, all NBA experience veterans right now. Does this remind y'all of the 2013 season with Rasheed Wallace, Marcus Camby, Kurt Thomas, Pablo Prigioni, Jason Kidd? Does this remind y'all of that year where the Knicks were just stacking up, everyone? Jay Mars says, I think Deuce gave us all he can. You think there's another level he can go to? If not, why not play Pacome? Make the second unit taller. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this second unit shakes out, man. And are we going to go 10? Are we going to go 11 even sometimes? I do think it'd probably start at 9, but, I assume Deuce is firmly in that situation at the 2 guard on the backup, on the squad, on the bench. What's going to happen with Clarkson and Brogdon? That's going to be interesting. That's quite small. If you go Deuce, Clarkson, Brogdon, so does one of those guys miss out on some minutes? It's going to be interesting, man. Like I said, this camp is going to be absolutely ferocious right now, hellacious. And Johnny made a great point before. Sometimes stacking more of these veterans allows you more trade chips as well. I got a feeling that the Knicks are trying to align themselves for a possible Giannis trade. Now, we're not going to make this stream about Giannis, but you guys already know that's the looming, next blockbuster out there for the future. Kevin Durant already got traded. Devin Booker re-up, so I don't think he's going to get traded. If y'all had to make one prediction on the next big, next blockbuster, I think most people would agree it's going to be Giannis at some point. And, I don't think he's going to stay in Milwaukee for the rest of his career right now. I think, it might take a little bit of time to hit, just like it did with Damian Lillard, that he needs to get up out of there and compete for championships. But we'll see. I think the Knicks could be looking to maybe get back some first-round draft picks for some of the young players and, try to, to stock up the cupboards again after the Mikal Bridges trade, right? If Giannis does ask out, the Knicks will want to be in position to make a competitive offer. Chris says, I'm so glad we filled out the backup bench. Yep, going to be a brand new feel next season. Trade the third says, don't forget we got Romeo Langford still in Westchester. I think he's coming into camp. Former lotto pick, I believe. He never stopped hooping either, so he can make some noise too. Yeah, I want to see more of Romeo, man. I didn't catch him in Boston as much. I don't think he really got an opportunity in Boston because they were stacked. Yeah, we'll love to see what he can do, fam. I do think Moses Brown left Westchester. I think he got picked up by someone, or he got picked up on a camp deal. So we'll see how this thing plays out, fam. One suggestion I want to make right now is I think the NBA should expand these two-ways, fam. Allow the two-ways to compete in the playoffs and maybe give teams 4, 5 two-ways. What the heck, fam? Let the league use the G League more while, expansion ain't happening. Look at all these veterans that can't get a spot in the league now. I think it's so competitive to stay in the league. You got a guy like Dennis Smith Jr. that had to go overseas. Yarbor Sele spent multiple years overseas, and he's good enough to be in the league, as he proved last season. So the league should expand these two ways and load up the G League with some more talent. Now, that's going to squeeze out some more young talent in the G League. I get it. But, it's going to allow these franchises to really, stay more competitive, and keep these guys paid so that they don't have to go overseas. Sharp House, El Tango, great to see y'all. Salute. Yeah, Roberto says it right here, man. This is the vibe right now. I'm getting all the vets are starting to make me feel, I think, that a big trade is coming, man. I think a trade is coming. I don't know how big it's going to be, man, but it might be multiple kind of, maybe not an earthquake. It might be a couple of tremors, fam. It might be a couple of smaller deals to open up some space. And if I'm a betting man, I think there will be one or possibly two trades definitely right now. I think Landry's good enough to be on the 15-man. I mean, he gave us some quality minutes in the playoffs last season. So he's got the points on the board for me right now. And look, Diawara is unproven right now. So I know that he could get a regular roster spot based on his rookie deal being so cheap. But the fact that you can still give Diawara a two-way, and if they were to free up some more salary cap space, they might want to go with another veteran in that spot. Because let's be real, how ready do you think Diawara is to play serious minutes? Maybe spot minutes, but maybe they don't feel like Diawara can play serious minutes right now. And I would hate to lose a Landry or a Garrison Matthews in that situation, because I think we need serious shooting, guys. Diawara did show us some flashes that he can play make. Defensively, he looks like a menace. We all know his strengths, but can Diawara really space the floor out in an NBA setting? Absolutely not right now. Absolutely not. So you need shooters around all of these guys right now. And the more shooting you can have, the better. Malcolm Brogdon coming in is a big tick. Landry back, Garrison Matthews would be a big tick. We all know those lineups with Josh Hart out there did kind of, if there's one real negative sticking point of the postseason, it was definitely the Josh Hart minutes. And look, that could have been what got Tibbs fired as well. His insistence on playing Josh Hart with the starting unit, and the analytics just said that was never a good lineup in terms of the plus minus. But Tibbs continued to force that right there. I think putting Mitchell Robinson into the starting unit and his defensive prowess really changed things. But definitely the Josh Hart kind of lack of floor spacing, I think, is something that we don't want to reproduce. We don't want to reproduce that right now. So, yeah, Ian Begley's reporting that Dennis Smith Jr. is impressing in these workouts right now. I'm interested to see how his three-point stroke has come along. Remember, he always had that kind of, hitch. He always had the high release hitch kind of three-point shot. It was very streaky when he came into the league right now. But as you guys said in the chat, his defense has come a long way. I think he's a lot more, defensively sound. Yeah, El Tango says camp is going to be insane. Mars says Moses signed with the Mavs. Appreciate y'all with that update. You guys are on fire tonight. Please smash that like button if you're enjoying the stream. And our replay squad salute. Graze says, please don't continue to overlook Dink Pate as a factor late in the season. His raw talent has the potential to be special. I'm not overlooking Dink Pate at all. I want to see more of him. And I'm sure he's going to give some of these guys the business in training camp. But where we sit right now, he is unproven. So he has to prove what he can do up against these guys and, in front of a brand new coaching staff, I mean, we've made so many moves, man. We might need to do a whole recap. But let's not forget all of the development guys that were brought in, man. From Billy Lang to, the assistant coach, man. Chris Gent. Obviously, we've got some returning assistant coaches as well. But we've got, the other guys that were brought in as well. Ricardo Foy. You guys might need to help me out. Some of these other assistant coaches that have come through. We have really overhauled not just the roster, but the bench in terms of the guys with the clipboards right now. Yeah, Mars says Diawara is going to get that rookie deal, according to Ian Begley. Yep. Yeah, I saw that report last stream we talked about, but that's as of things currently stand. Things could change in terms of more veterans proving their worth, because Diawara can still go on a two-way. But I would expect Diawara to land one of the regular roster spots, along with Huck Porty, along with Dardier, and that gives us 2 more spots to fill, assuming Tyler Collett gets traded, and assuming Landry is competing for one of the spots. I do think we're currently at 13, with Brogdon a guarantee to stick around unless he gets traded. So we're at 13 right now, right? With Diawara, Dardier, and Huck Porty, right? And assuming that, Brogdon slides in and Collett goes out, there's 2 more spots. Financially, I think we can add the 14th guy, no worries. The 15th guy might need to wait. The 15th guy might need to wait until, during the season. That's why the G League is going to be big. And that's also why we're giving out these camp deals to all the veterans, because it's going to give them 50 grand to stick around. Don't forget, these guys might not stick around if they don't get a camp deal, right? That helps them pay the bills. Dirty Dancer salute says, I think a lot of these guys see the Knicks as a good shot because we play so early in Dubai. Good advertising for the vets when no one else is on. That's a great point. Absolutely, man. You're showing your vet experience in this game. Abu Dhabi, October 2nd, is a lot earlier than other preseason games get started. 100%. But also, we are in a situation where these veterans see us as a championship opportunity right now, right? You could become legendary status if you can help the New York Knicks, win a championship right now. And obviously the New York Knicks, in the New York market can help these guys with endorsements and just stay on the map as well. We all know if they go to, Charlotte, they go to Utah, they go to Portland, they'll disappear, man, like Harry Houdini in terms of the NBA landscape right now. But, on a team like the Knicks that are favorites, they're definitely going to be able to, to turn heads if they can continue to produce. But also, I want to give the front office credit because I think all of these vets actually can add something. They're not just stiffs that these guys have just found off the street. I think they fit a particular style that the Knicks are looking for right now. I mentioned, look at those 3 big men competing for the camp spots. Alex Len has always been kind of that physical guy that rebounds, shot blocks, but also will mix it up. Thomas Bryant as well can shoot the three ball. And look, Trey Jemison is he's more of just an enforcer right now, but he fits that particular role that I think could help the Knicks out too. Garrison Matthews and obviously the shooting that he provides. Matt Ryan, I don't think he's going to stick around, but he could be a Westchester guy, and Dennis Smith Jr. could be a guy that handles the point guard duties off the bench for us too. Don't forget Jordan Clarkson is still a shooting guard, in a point guard's body. He's still a combo guard. So for all of y'all that still want us to get a true point guard, Dennis Smith Jr. could take Tyler Kolek's spot if there is a trade. The Knicks don't see Deuce as a true point guard. And we all know Malcolm Brogdon has health concerns, and he's still a combo guard as well. So that's why the Dennis Smith thing makes sense to me. How do y'all feel about that? Well, Roberto says Dennis Smith Jr. is better than Brogdon. Look, he's younger, he's healthier right now. Let's see how that plays out. I don't know about better in terms of when they're at their peak, but yeah, I'm okay with Dennis Smith Jr. It makes sense to me. And like Dirty said, we had to add more scoring off our bench, considering what we had to work with. Adding 40 points in a potential bench scoring is an absolute masterclass too. Let's not forget about the finances as well. The way they've, moved the chess pieces around to, signing Mikal Bridges, allowing us to skirt the second apron still. Let's see what happens with Mitchell Robinson. Then give us your predictions on what does Mitchell Robinson's next deal look like, and when do you think it's going to happen? Then I think it's not going to happen in the summer now. It's clearly going to be at some point into the season if they do end up, extending Mitchie. But yeah, although that he's on a non-guaranteed deal, the fact that the Knicks spent 2 months pursuing Malcolm Brogdon, reporting Brian Windhorst, Malcolm Brogdon's going to stick around, right? Even for the upside, if he suffers an injury, you still keep him around. If it's a minor injury because of his upside. But yeah, I do think Landry's competing with Garrison Matthews, possibly Dennis Smith Jr. as well. I would love to see Diawara get the regular roster spot. I just don't know if he's going to get many minutes in his rookie season. The two-way guys, Dink Pate. Some of y'all, like Trey said earlier, want to see Dink Pate get that opportunity. Apoca Knicks now wants James Nagy to get a final two-way spot. That's kind of one of the greater unknowns for me right now. I kind of try to follow James Nagy on Instagram, see what he's up to. But there's nothing to reveal that he's in New York City right now, so I'm not sure whether or not he might go back to Europe. He might be waiting for a deal elsewhere. But if I had to predict, I think he's definitely coming into camp. And we'll see what happens with the two ways. We do have a poll in the chat. Who do you think gets the final two-way, assuming Dink Pate and McCullar get 2 of the 3? I think the third spot is between Nagy, Tosan A, today's signing as well. But look, Malcolm Brogdon, man, he offers the scoring, like Dirty Dancer said. I think we need scoring punch off our bench. Jalen Brunson, I want to preserve him for the postseason, preserve OG Anunoby. I do think Cat's capable of playing more minutes. Shout out to Cat, because Cat was very durable last season. Really, I know he could have played a little bit more forceful on the defensive side, more physical. But for the most part, I thought Cat's debut season with the New York Knicks was excellent, and I think there's more to come. But having said that, we do need some guys that can score when those guys are off the floor, man. Our offense stagnated when those guys went off. And that's where Yabusele and Clarkson was an absolute masterclass, like I said. But if we're adding more guys like Brogdon, Shamet, Dennis Smith, Matthews, I think we're in a good spot. we're in a good spot right now. So for those that are just joining us, here's some footage out of Princeton for Tosan A, 6'8" wing out of Britain, and he had a 22-point career high last season with the Brooklyn Nets, averaged 10 points, 4.5 rebounds in 28 games, and he was an Ivy League first teamer. And we'll see what he can do, man. He looks like a prime two-way spot. Maybe think of him as taking, Beauchamp's spot. Beauchamp's 25 now. They probably kind of feel like, we've got to look at the next guy. We'll see what happens with Beauchamp. I haven't heard anything about Beauchamp coming into camp, but I do think the jump shot is a swing skill for Tosan. And he's had some moments slashing to the basket last season, especially against the Sacramento Kings, man. I think that was his best game. And that's where probably he caught the eye of Mike Brown. I do think as a courtesy, you generally give a brand new coach one or two of their guys, just to say, hey, we're invested in you. Who do you think, who would you like to bring in? And don't forget, this is a collaborative front office right now. So I'm sure that Leon Rose and William Wesley have gone to Mike Brown and said, look, for these final spots, who do you feel like could come in and help us out? And look, Mike Brown was really heavy in Summer League in Vegas, and he was really, taking notes, man, feverishly. He evaluated Kolek, Dardier, McCullar, and all of the guys in Summer League. And he would have been like, look, these guys are more of a long-term thing. These guys may be right now. Some of these guys are maybe not for me. And I look forward to seeing what's up. Michael says, please, please, please don't trade Kolek. Look, I think Kolek is just going to struggle for opportunities here, fam. Creative says, I wouldn't be mad if DSJ is here, if he was the second backup point guard behind Malcolm Brogdon. Yeah, our point guard depth would be serious. If it's Jalen Brunson, Malcolm Brogdon, Dennis Smith Jr. as a third stringer, I'll be okay with that, man. I'll be buzzing, actually, with that. And obviously you have Clarkson and Deuce as more of an off-ball. We'll see how that all plays out. What's up, Wayne? Great to see you. Roberto says, or Thomas Bryant makes the team. If Thomas Bryant makes the team, Najee's gone. Yep. Again, Najee, we're kind of not up against it because he's young still. He could be Westchester, for another year. I don't think that would be the worst thing. So yeah, here I like to see, here's Tosan A give Boston Celtics the business. Right. You like to see that, fam. Taking it strong on Derek White down the lane. He's going up against the first teamers. Well, maybe not in this situation, but earlier, shooting over the likes of Luke Cornett. I've always been a fan of Thomas Bryant, but I do think he's a little bit erratic. You kind of just don't know what you're going to get. I really like the floor of Ariel Hukporti. Like, the ceiling is high, but I like the floor of Ariel Hukporti in terms of he switched his feet, stayed in front of guys, he's defensively sound. Average, 2 blocks per 36? I mean, let's not sleep on Ariel Hukporti's production based on limited opportunities. But Thomas Bryant has the NBA experience. I just think he's a little bit erratic. Sometimes, don't forget, he had a couple of good games to close the Indiana series. Don't forget about the first couple of Indiana games where, Knicks Nation was actually clowning Thomas Bryant. And we were daring Rick Carlisle to play him more. We were actually daring Rick Carlisle to play Thomas Bryant. And then he started to pick it up, as the series went along. The Wolf Perry says Kolek is out of here. I do think that's most likely, but I'll be surprised if that doesn't happen. Johnny says my guy DSJ has some hops. Sans attitude could be worth something too. Overseas experience too. That could be a humbler. Dennis Smith Jr. has been in and out of the league so much, but yeah, such unfulfilled potential right now. But let's not forget that he's only 28 too. Man, what age did we pick up Pablo Prigioni? Let's not forget, man, Pablo Prigioni came to New York City as like a 32-year-old, fam, 33-year-old. Played all the way until he was like 35, 36. So, yeah, I do think Dennis Smith Jr. keeps his body in good shape. He looks still athletic, maybe not the same level of hops as his rookie season. But yeah, we could do a lot worse, I think, as a third stringer. And I would take him over, Markelle Fultz or Seth Curry or any of those guys. Because I do think Dennis Smith Jr. can get feisty on the defensive side. He does have that compete level that I think will resonate for Mike Brown. Yeah, keep the comments coming. Please smash that like button. You've got the Knicks streets buzzing. Dirty Dancer with some good insight here. Tosan had a good game against us 2 years ago for Brooklyn, if I remember right. Yeah, I must have missed that because he went completely under the radar for me. But yeah, anytime you can put up 22 points, average 10 points and 4.5 bounds, I think it's worth taking a good, spot, worth a shot on the two-way. But I like the confidence here driving into the lane, going up against the Sacramento Kings, regular rotation there. There's Dennis Smith, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis. Could be another undrafted steal. Quite possibly he was on our radar as well, right? Now, we got some breaking news, right? We're not going to linger on this guy because he's done for me. But Ben Simmons has responded to criticism on Instagram saying, is bro retired? Ben Simmons responded saying no. So, according to the words of Ben Simmons, I'm not retired right now. So, it could be a revenge game. Ben Simmons did flirt with the Knicks, rejected the Knicks offer. But here the man is saying that he's not retiring right now. So that's interesting with that situation, man. What's he holding out for? I don't think he's going to get a better deal anywhere. Huck has good energy, says David M. Yeah, he's got good fundamentals, like 4 years pro experience now. I think he's ready for the limelight. Dirty says there is a world where they cut Ariel non-guaranteed deal to squeeze out another real vet. That's possible too, but I do think that Ariel's on a pretty good deal too. I think it's only like 1.9. But then again, 1.9 is not too far off the 2.2 for a full veteran. So yeah, I get it. I don't know if Ariel Huckporty would be eligible for a two-way. I know he jumped from a two-way to a regular deal. HRM says, what about Mac McClung? Haven't heard anything about Mac. He's a G League kind of star. Doesn't seem to be able to get, regular roster spots. He's in these scrimmages in New York City, working out with some of the Chris Brinkley runs too. But I haven't really heard anything on Mac McClung at the moment. I mean, he's very athletic, but there's got to be a reason why you just can't stick on a roster. I think the shooting, I think the size is a limitation as well. And look, the Knicks are making moves for the now, for the short term, and for the future. I think, right, the Knicks are very smart. If you connect the dots, they're kind of making plans for now to win, but they're also making plans for trades in the future. I think stacking up assets. And I just think it's all about flexibility. When you are so close to that second apron, man, just 44 grand, something has to happen. Malcolm Brogdon's going to stay. I do think Kolek is going to get traded, but that only allows us to fill out 14 guys. So, there's a real chance DSJ will get traded as well, as much as I disagree with it. If the Knicks only trade Kolek, they can only fit 14 guys still if they want Brogdon to stick. And so could it be Ariel Hukporti? It could be hiding in plain sight, just like Dirty Dancer said. As I said earlier, it could be a case of Diawara doesn't get a roster spot. He gets a two-way. There's a reason why all of this has not been confirmed yet. And in the words of Diawara, he said he doesn't know what he's going to get. So those that are already saying that Diawara is on the regular roster spot, that hasn't been confirmed yet. Training camp is going to confirm, I think, what the Knicks want to do. But we do have options. Diawara can still get a two-way if we want to fit in more vets. Whatever they do, though, I hope they do it real quick, right? Because I don't want one of the things that was a little bit tough on the Knicks last season was that Cat trade on the eve of media day. Fam, I do hope that the Knicks, it does look like they're really getting busy to start the week. And I do think in the next coming days, we are going to have these trades finalized, because the guys are in the gym right now. Training camp's going to start in about a week. And we are going to have to pack our bags to head over to Abu Dhabi, right? So we want to give clarity to the likes of Tyler Kolek, all of the other guys that are competing for spots right now. Look out for these trades to come real quick. Hopefully they don't, drag on, fam, into training camp. Dink Pate got that two-way, fam. Creative. I think Dink Pate's got that two-way. I'll be absolutely, disappointed, heartbroken if he doesn't end up getting a two-way. I think he did great in Summer League, and he needs to stick around, man. He'll be snapped up real quick. And the Knicks obviously acted quick to sign him after going undrafted. So I think he's all but guaranteed a two-way. Kevin McCullar is on a two-way. I expect him to stick around, although he's getting up there in age as well. So he has to compete for opportunities, does McCullar. He's 24 now, but hopefully he can stay healthy. And Tosan A, today's signing, is also 24 years old. So he ain't that young. He ain't that young right now. But we do have wing depth. If there is an injury, that's the difference between last season and this season. With respect to last season's guys, Cam Payne was erratic at times, and I think we've really upgraded. Precious Achua, gave us some highlights, some moments, but definitely you say Yabusele is a major upgrade on him. And I like Precious with respect to him. I think he was still a little bit inconsistent. Yabusele is an upgrade. If you've got guys like Garrison Matthews, that's an upgrade over Matt Ryan, what we had. PJ Tucker, PJ Tucker and his sneaker collection. I think we've upgraded on PJ as well. And some of these other big men, Jericho Sims. I think Thomas Bryant would be an upgrade over him. Even Alex Len, I think, would be an upgrade over him. Dennis Smith Jr. would be an upgrade over Cam Payne, based on what I've seen. Or at the very least, give us, Cam Payne opportunities. But we know Brogdon is an upgrade over Cam Payne as well. Now let's touch on this. Nick P. Salute says, is anyone concerned that they might move on from Mitchie since he didn't get extended? That's a lot of cash. I hope not. Right. When I talked about Blockbuster before, and I talk about what's one step before that, they have to finalize what they want to do with Mitch, fam, in terms of an extension. And I do think they just want to see him start the season, stay healthy, continue his dominant, displays, and then I think they will try to re-sign Mitch. I do think they see Mitch as a real staple of this team. And especially defensively, we don't have. He's probably the guy that we just can't replace, if we're being honest right now. Hukporti might be able to make a jump, but that's still premature to say that. If Cat and Yabusele have to play the 5, man, that's Swiss cheese. So, Mitch is that guy that we don't really have a like-for-like backup. Maybe that's obviously why they're looking at Thomas Bryant, Alex Len, and Trey Jemison as a physical kind of enforcer in the paint. But yeah, man, most Knicks Nation is Mitchie for life. Coach says Mitch and Nick for life. He's survived not 1, not 2, not 3 seasons of trade rumors, fam, and he's still here. So I do think I would try to re-sign Mitch right now and give him the guaranteed bag, and maybe you can get him at a team-friendly deal. Now, he might be open to taking the money now. So let's see what happens, fam. And yeah, I'll be worried about replacing him because we don't really have a like-for-like. There's not many players in the league that can do what he can do. And he obviously knows this. He's probably going to try to get the best possible deal that he can get as well. McCall signed now. There is a little bit of speculation about Josh Hart's future. At what point, as a bench player now, at what point does Josh Hart, become, trade possible? He's obviously the lifeblood of the team in terms of a leader and Villanova guy. But Leon Rose, I don't think would duck trading from anyone. We saw, that Dante get traded. But for now, I would have a hard time seeing Hart get traded. But in another year or two, I could definitely see something happen. For right now, Hart's important, a big piece of the bench. But yeah, there is some guys out there earning big salaries that, could give us a bit more flexibility. So we'll see how that all plays out, fam. In terms of these trades coming up, I do think Kolek, maybe a 70-30 chance that Dardier sticks, but I do think it's probably a 90% possibility that Tyler Kolek gets traded. And I'll be okay with that for now, because I do think we've got Brogdon in-house. We are making backups plans with Dennis Smith Jr. in-house. You got Jordan Clarkson as well. The Knicks are not resting on their laurels right now. You got young wings competing for spots. You got young, hungry vets also competing for spots. And you've got the returning soldiers coming back to prove their worth, right? And hopefully go 1 or 2 steps further than last season, guys. We've got training camp in a week. We'll ramp up the content and the live streams. Thank you for everyone joining us tonight. Smash that like button. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section as the New York Knicks sign another two-way guy and continue to work out these spots as they finalize training camp, fam. It's going to be a huge preseason, man. This is the first time the Knicks have traveled outside of the USA since the London game, I think back in 2015, fam. So yeah, hopefully we get some great content on the road with these guys. I know probably Hart and Brunson are going to be, and Kat are going to be producing some content while they're in Abu Dhabi. But yeah, these guys are going to get to work. There's a lot of expectations this season, and that's why the New York Knicks are casting their eye over these vets. And we'll see what is the next move coming through. Hope everyone has a great start to the week, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.